Well, hello, hello. How are you?
I'm doing great, Paul. How are you today?
Doing wonderful. Thank you. We're so happy to have you on with us today because this movie is a whole lot of fun, and we didn't quite see where it was going, but that's kind of the idea, right?
Definitely. Yeah, when
Yeah,
you start the film, you definitely cannot imagine how it's going to end. Yeah, that's kind of the fun of it.
yeah, absolutely. And most movies, as we come to find out, when we're kids, we're thinking, oh, it'd be so cool to be in a movie or a TV show, and then you get on set and you're like, this isn't that fun. But this one actually looked like it was a whole lot of fun, wasn't it?
It was a lot of fun. We had a really just a great cast. I think that really shows in the film. And we'll be releasing some like behind the scenes stuff too, so you can see us having fun. And just a very small crew. And yeah, everyone. It was a dynamic, fun group, and it was a blast. It was a lot of fun to film.
Yeah. And what a great time to have my wife in a starring in a film, right?
Definitely. I mean, when I met him, he had been doing his stand-up comedy, and I knew that was like his passion, what he really loved. But I could tell, he had this a star quality about him, and so I'm like, this guy's going to be a big star. And so when we started filming, it was just so cool to see him kind of come alive as his character and really like go deep and kind of do these kind of dramatic, scenes. And yeah, I mean, he's very, very talented. So
Yeah.
excited for everyone to see him, play this role.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, his rival in the film is quite a star himself, a great musician, and all that. So it's probably great to have so much talent in one place for you.
It really was, yeah, I love working with Rob. He's become a really good friend of mine, and I've actually filmed some of his music videos now. And yeah, so he just, yeah, a lot of talent going on. And just, even the smaller characters, just everyone was really talented, has gone on to do some pretty impressive work. So yeah, couldn't be happier with the cast.
Good. And what was the definitive moment where you're just kind of looking around going, all right, this is kind of how I pictured it?
There's a scene where you have Coach and Connor, and they kind of venture out. They've been locked down. They have this threat looming, and so they're afraid to literally go outside. And so at some point they decide to go to the neighbor's house. They see this guy kind of at the beginning of the film, and they're like, "Oh, we got to get food supplies," And so there's this really, really intense scene with them in the neighbor's house and what kind of takes place. And I mean, that was just like, I have goosebumps just thinking about it right now. Yeah, just really, really powerful stuff. So I was like, wow, it turned out better than I imagined, and I had this idea of, having a steady cam kind of circling around, as we're shooting this like really intense scene. And just, yeah, it's amazing. So I love that scene.
And where in the world did you film it? Because this seems like this is somewhere I'd like to go check out. Minus the what's overhead.
Yes. So we actually filmed this in Malibu
Oh
at
wow.
my home, believe
Okay.
it or
Wow.
not. And I
Well, good.
had
Then
this
I'm coming
tiny
on
little
vacation
guest
to your house.
house. Yeah, so we were actually, it was during COVID, and it was during the lockdown. So we were one of the very few productions actually filming at all in Los Angeles. And so we were locked down. And so that's what's happening in the story. That was what was happening for real. And so yeah, we shot it all in my house and a little bit in the exterior, like around the mountains, around Malibu. And so yeah, we just worked with what we had and pulled it
Beautiful.
together.
I love that. Well, so people will maybe look at this and go, see, but despite everything going on, you could pick out good talent, make a good film. What kind of advice would you give to other filmmakers that want to follow in your footsteps?
Let's see. To other filmmakers, I would just say, yeah, find a story that you're very, very passionate about, a story you really want to tell. I think the most important element is, kind of having that great story, and once you have a great story, then you have, if you have the great cast and the great story, you really can't go wrong. I guess you could mess up editing, but great cast and great story, if you go with that and you do, get us some solid picks there, you really can't go wrong, and it's just a lot of fun. So I would say, like, come with a great storyline, and your casting is key. You can even have a great cast and not such a great storyline, but the cast can make it great. So yeah, casting is casting's everything. So that's what I would definitely recommend.
Now, my co-host Drew Pearson, one of our great Dallas Cowboys, caught the Hail Mary, went in the Hall of Fame. We love to ask people their Hail Mary moment, which is that moment in your life or career you just had to go for it and it worked out for you. It might be this, but it might be something else too.
So I was pretty young. I mean, I actually made my first horror film when I was 7 years old. So I was taking, my dad's video camera and I shot a horror film, just me and my best friend, and it was so much fun to try to just the two of us, filming. And I remember the scene where I'm like dragging, her dead body, and so you see the hands and we had to stuff the jeans to make it look like there was a body in there and I'm filming and stuff. So it was so fun. It's so fun to be creative. But when I was about 16 years old, I went and worked on a film, a Viking film in Canada, and I got selected to be one of the Viking villagers. So it was like 3 months of filming in Canada, and it was directed by a great director, John McTiernan, who did, Predator and some other really big movies. And I kept having these dreams every night that I was directing the movie with him, and then I would bump into him on the set, like coming out of the porta potty or something, and like I'd bump into him and I'd be like, oh, but I felt like I knew him because every single night I would dream that I was directing the film with him. And I just knew at that point, I was like, okay, I want to be a director. And like, cause I'd see, you see the filmmaking, like you said that, but you don't know the process. And so at first I thought, oh, I want to be an actress. And then when I got to see the kind of behind the scenes stuff, I was like, no, 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 I want to be a director. And so I moved right away to Vancouver, British Columbia, and started taking some little classes. And I worked actually in the camera department. So I started off as a camera assistant and on these big shows. And I was like, oh, I want to direct. I want to direct. It's really hard to move your way up that ladder. And so I was like, okay, I got to move to LA. Like that's where it's all happening. And my grandparents were from Los Angeles. I spent a lot of time here. So I moved down to Los Angeles and I was like, start my own production company and just go.
That's so cool. Well, last thing then, I cannot wait to see after this what you're going to do next. Or, you may have hesitant. You may already be well on the way. So, what are we going to see next from you?
Okay, so I've got a Western film called Redemption that I would love to make right now. I have actually about 5 or 6 different scripts that yeah, I'm gonna kind of see what happens here and who I can kind of pull together for financing and cast and but I've got a really cool kind of an epic, Viking movie called The Last Viking that's going to be a little bit more like a little bit bigger budget. I have this kind of post-apocalyptic one that's really interesting. And I've got this, drama that I could probably do on a small budget with some great casting called Broken Down White Man. So I've got all the different genres covered. But yeah,
Uh,
I've got a lot of different stuff kind of, bubbling up here in my imagination and a bunch of scripts already ready to go.
wow, I love that. Well, congratulations on this one. I know it took you a little bit to get it out, but it's here now, and everyone can check it out. We can tell everyone to see it, and we'll look forward to talking to you again very, very soon.
Thank you so much. Yeah, catch Trapped In on Apple TV and Fandango. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Really nice to meet you.
You too. Thanks so much. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.